The massive Seldorian warship appeared without warning above Earth's outer defense station. Its hull gleamed like polished obsidian against the starfield, dwarfing the human vessels that scrambled to respond. Commander Jack Wilson of the Earth Alliance ship Defender kept his voice steady despite the tension on the bridge. "Status report," he ordered. Lieutenant Susan Green's fingers flew across her console. "Unknown vessel, sir. Nothing like it in our database. It's 3 times our size with energy readings off the charts." "Are they hostile?" "Can't tell yet, sir. They're just watching." Wilson studied the alien ship on the main screen. Humanity had ventured to nearby star systems over the past decade, but this was different. This ship had appeared through what sensors identified as a controlled wormhole technology Earth scientists had only theorized about. "They're hailing us," Green announced. Wilson straightened his uniform. On screen, the view screen flickered, revealing a tall, blue-skinned being. It had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern and wore ornate silver armor that seemed to shift colors as it moved. "Primitive vessels," the alien began, its voice translated through the ship's computers. "I am Supreme Commander Vazix of the Seldorian Empire. You have been detected developing faster-than-light capabilities. According to Galactic law, all emerging species must be evaluated for threat assessment." Wilson chose his words carefully. "This is Commander Jack Wilson of Earth Alliance. We welcome peaceful contact with your civilization." The alien made a dismissive gesture. "Peace is earned, not given. Your species will submit to inspection and classification. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. Earth's united government had feared this moment. First contact with a technologically superior species that viewed humans as inferiors. "With respect," Wilson replied, "we cannot allow unknown personnel aboard without proper diplomatic protocols. Perhaps we could arrange a meeting of representatives on neutral ground." The alien commander's upper eyes narrowed. "You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation." He turned to someone off-screen. "Target their primary defense station. Show them our capability." Before Wilson could respond, a brilliant beam of energy shot from the alien vessel, striking Earth's orbital defense platform. The station didn't explode. Instead, it simply came apart, dissolving into countless fragments. "That was a fraction of our capability," Vazix continued. "Your species has 2 Earth rotations to prepare for formal evaluation. Any resistance will result in planetary sanctions." The transmission ended abruptly. "Get me Earth Command," Wilson ordered, his mind racing. "And contact Dr. Natalie Rivera immediately." Dr. Rivera was the lead scientist on Project Mirror, a highly classified defensive system based on principles that even most of Earth's military didn't understand. The project had been theoretical until 3 months ago when a breakthrough changed everything. 20 minutes later, Wilson sat in the secure conference room with Admiral Helen Powell and Dr. Rivera joining via encrypted channels. "They outmatch us in every way," Powell stated bluntly. "Our long-range scans detect at least 5 more ships of similar size waiting beyond Jupiter's orbit." Dr. Rivera pushed her glasses up. "But they don't know about Mirror," she said quietly. "Will it work?" Wilson asked. "It's never been field-tested against actual weapons." Rivera's expression was determined. "The system doesn't just block attacks, it learns from them. The more powerful their weapons, the more Mirror adapts." Admiral Powell looked grim. "We have no choice. Authorization granted to deploy Mirror on all Earth vessels. Commander Wilson, your ship will lead the response team." Wilson nodded. "And if they attack again?" Rivera's eyes gleamed with a mixture of scientific curiosity and determination. "Then they'll learn something important about humans." "What's that?" Powell asked. "We don't react well to threats." Dr. Natalie Rivera worked quickly in the main laboratory of the Defender. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail as she connected the final components of the Mirror system. 6 other scientists moved around her in a carefully choreographed dance of technical preparation. "How much time do we have left?" she asked without looking up from her work. 18 hours until their deadline, replied Sam Harris, her assistant. His face showed the same worry that everyone felt. The mirror system looked deceptively simple, a series of small hexagonal panels that would be placed at strategic points around the ship's hull. But the technology inside those panels was anything but simple. "Commander Wilson is on his way down," Harris added. Rivera nodded and continued her work. The mirror system was based on her discovery that energy could be captured, analyzed, and redirected if the receiving surface could rapidly adapt its molecular structure. It was like having armor that could instantly understand any weapon used against it and turn that same weapon back on its attacker. Commander Wilson entered the lab, his face tense but determined. "Please tell me you have good news, Doctor." "We're installing the final components now," Rivera said. "But I need to be clear about something. This system has never faced weapons of this magnitude. The simulations were promising, but we're betting humanity's future on untested technology." Wilson finished her thought. "Exactly." Wilson looked at the components spread across the workstations. "Do we have enough units for all our ships?" "No," Rivera admitted. "We only have enough for 7 vessels, including the Defender. The others will have to stay behind Earth's planetary shields." The commander nodded grimly. "Then those 7 ships will have to be enough." Admiral Powell has formed a plan. "We'll position ourselves as the first line of defense. If mirror works, we'll have a fighting chance." 12 hours later, the 7 Earth vessels took position in high orbit. Behind them, Earth's cities glowed in the darkness, millions of people going about their lives with only a vague understanding of the danger above them. On the Defender's bridge, Wilson watched as the Seldorian fleet moved closer. The alien ships moved with perfect precision, forming a crescent formation. "Mirror status?" he asked. "All panels online and functioning," Rivera reported from her station. "The system is running at 98% efficiency." "Open a channel to the Seldorian command ship." When Supreme Commander Vazix appeared on screen, his 4 eyes showed surprise at seeing the human ships in defensive formation. "You were instructed to prepare for boarding, not position for combat," he said coldly. Wilson stood tall. "We are prepared to establish peaceful relations, but we will not surrender our sovereignty. We propose a diplomatic solution." Vazix made a sound that might have been laughter. "Diplomacy is for equals. You are not our equals." He turned to his crew. "Target their lead vessel. Minimal power." Wilson braced himself. "All ships, activate mirror shields." The Seldorian beam struck the Defender directly. For a moment, the ship shuddered violently. Warning alarms blared across the bridge. "Mirror status," Wilson called out. Rivera's eyes were fixed on her readings. "It's working. The system is absorbing the energy signature, analyzing, reconfiguring." The hexagonal panels along the Defender's hull began to glow with an intensifying blue light. The energy from the Seldorian weapon didn't dissipate. Instead, it seemed to flow across the ship's surface like liquid light. "What's happening?" demanded Vazix from the view screen, his confidence giving way to confusion. Wilson allowed himself a small smile. "You're about to find out." Suddenly, the accumulated energy burst forth from the Defender, returning to the Seldorian ship with doubled intensity. The massive alien vessel rocked backward, its forward shields collapsing under the unexpected counterattack. "Impossible," Vazix shouted as his bridge erupted in chaos. Silence filled the bridge of the Defender as everyone stared at the main view screen. The Seldorian command ship drifted slightly, emergency lights flashing across its damaged hull. The other alien vessels had stopped their advance, seemingly frozen in space. "What just happened?" Wilson asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Rivera's fingers flew across her console. The mirror system worked better than expected. It didn't just reflect their energy weapon, it amplified it and returned it with a specific harmonic frequency that bypassed their shields. Lieutenant Green looked up from communications. They're hailing us again, sir. On screen, Wilson ordered. Supreme Commander Vazix appeared, but the image flickered. Smoke filled the background of his bridge, and several crew members rushed around putting out small fires. A thin line of blue liquid ran from a cut on his forehead. What technology is this? Vazix demanded, his previous arrogance replaced by a mixture of anger and confusion. No emerging species has ever repelled a Seldorian attack. Wilson kept his expression neutral. As I said before, we prefer diplomatic solutions. Your attack was analyzed and returned to you. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves. The Seldorian commander's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. The High Council must be informed of this development. The transmission cut out abruptly. They're pulling back, reported Green, maintaining position at 200,000 kilometers. Wilson turned to Rivera. I need to know everything about what just happened. In the ship's conference room, Rivera displayed the data from the mirror engagement. Admiral Powell and the captains of the other 6 ships joined via secure transmission. The mirror technology didn't just defend us, Rivera explained, pointing to energy flow diagrams. It created a perfect copy of their weapon's energy signature while analyzing its properties. When it returned fire, it knew exactly where their shields were weakest. Can they adapt to this? Powell asked. Rivera nodded. Eventually, yes. But there's something else. She pulled up another display. During the energy exchange, we captured massive amounts of data from their systems. Their computers automatically transmitted technical information when our systems connected through the energy beam. Wilson leaned forward. What kind of information? Everything, Rivera said, her voice filled with wonder. Partial engine schematics, weapon specifications, star charts, communication protocols. It's like getting a glimpse into their entire technological infrastructure. Powell's eyes widened. This changes everything. If we can understand their technology, we might be able to negotiate from a position of strength, Wilson finished. Green's voice came over the intercom. Commander, we're receiving a transmission from further out in the system. It's not from the Seldorian fleet. A new image appeared on the screen. The alien was unlike the Seldorians, slender, with pale green skin and large almond-shaped eyes. Greetings, defenders of Earth. I am Ambassador Liran of the Arcadian Republic. We have been monitoring your encounter with the Seldorian Empire. Your resistance has created quite an impression. Wilson exchanged glances with Powell before responding. Thank you, Ambassador. We're simply protecting our home. The Arcadian made a flowing gesture with long fingers. The Seldorians have dominated this sector for centuries, claiming all emerging worlds as their property. No species has successfully challenged them, until now. We didn't intend to challenge anyone, Wilson said. We just want to be left alone. Ambassador Liran's expression shifted to something like a smile. That choice may no longer be available to you. The Seldorians will return with greater forces, but perhaps not as enemies. You have something they now desperately want. Our mirror technology, Rivera whispered. Indeed, the ambassador confirmed. And you are not the only ones interested in your remarkable defense system. The Galactic Council convenes in 3 cycles. We would like to extend an invitation to Earth's representatives. To do what? Powell asked. To change the balance of power throughout the galaxy. The Earth Alliance Command Center buzzed with activity. 3 days had passed since the encounter with the Seldorian fleet, and humanity was preparing for its first official diplomatic mission to the Galactic Council. Admiral Powell stood before the gathered representatives from Earth's United Nations. Behind her, a holographic display showed the 7 defending ships and the newly arrived Arcadian vessel. Ambassador Liran has provided coordinates for the council meeting, she explained. It will take place on a neutral space station at the edge of our solar system. President Laura Martinez, the elected leader of Earth's unified government, studied the reports before her. And we're certain this isn't a trap. As certain as we can be, Powell replied. The Arcadians have shared intelligence suggesting that several galactic powers are interested in forming alliances with Earth after our defense against the Xeldorians. Rivera, who sat beside Commander Wilson, spoke up. Our analysis of the data we captured shows that the Xeldorian Empire has dominated the region through superior firepower. Many civilizations would welcome a shift in the balance of power. President Martinez nodded thoughtfully. So our unexpected defense has made us valuable. What does the diplomatic team recommend? Wilson stepped forward. We should attend the council meeting but share limited information about mirror technology. It's our only advantage. Agreed, the president said. Commander Wilson, you'll lead the diplomatic mission with Dr. Rivera and a small security team. Your goal is to establish Earth's independence while exploring potential alliances. 12 hours later, Wilson stood on the Defender's Bridge as they approached the massive space station. The structure resembled a giant wheel with spokes extending from a central hub. Ships of various designs docked at its outer ring. I count 23 different vessel types, Green reported. Some are Xeldorian, but most are unknown configurations. Ambassador Loren's ship guided them to a docking port. The council representatives are already gathering. Remember, Commander, speak confidently but reveal little about your technology. The Earth delegation was escorted to an enormous circular chamber. Representatives from at least 15 different species sat in tiered seating around a central speaking area. Some appeared nearly human, while others were so alien that Wilson struggled to identify sensory organs or limbs. A tall crystalline being approached them. Welcome, Earth representatives. I am Moderator Kelson. The council session will begin shortly. The Xeldorian delegation has requested to speak first. Wilson noticed Supreme Commander Vazix entering with several other Xeldorians. The commander's armor was newly repaired, but a faint scar remained on his forehead. Once all were seated, Moderator Kelson called the session to order. This emergency meeting has been convened to address the emergence of Earth as a spacefaring civilization and the incident in their home system. Vazix stepped forward. The Xeldorian Empire claims authority over the sector containing Earth. We were conducting standard evaluation protocols when the humans deployed an unknown weapon technology against our vessels. Murmurs spread through the gathered representatives. It was not a weapon, Wilson stated clearly as he moved to the center. It was a defensive system that returned your unprovoked attack. Earth claims no territory beyond our own system, but we will defend our sovereignty. A representative with flowing tentacles for limbs spoke up. The Xeldorian Empire has claimed exclusive rights to evaluate emerging species for centuries. If Earth has technology that can resist them, the Council's founding principle of balanced power requires reconsideration. Ambassador Loren joined the discussion. The Arcadian Republic proposes that Earth be granted independent status and protection from unilateral action by any council member. Unacceptable. Vazix protested. Their technology must be studied to ensure it poses no threat to galactic stability. Wilson smiled slightly. We have no desire to threaten anyone, but we won't surrender our defensive capabilities either. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices as various factions argued. Wilson noticed something interesting. Almost every representative seemed more interested in Earth's technology than in Earth itself. Moderator Kelson called for order. It seems humanity's unexpected entry onto the galactic stage has created a diplomatic situation as powerful as their defensive technology. This debate will require more than one session to resolve. The second day of negotiations began with tension hanging in the air. Wilson and Rivera entered the Grand Council chamber to find the various alien representatives already engaged in heated discussions. The circular room hummed with translator devices as dozens of different languages mixed together. Moderator Kelson raised a crystalline hand for silence. Today we will hear proposals regarding Earth's status in the galactic community. Wilson took his place at the Earth delegation's table. He had spent most of the night studying the information Ambassador Lyran had provided about the various species present. The galactic politics were complex, With ancient alliances and rivalries, the humanity was only beginning to understand. A tall, avian being with shimmering feathers stood first. The Pellinary Confederation offers Earth full protection and technology exchange. In return, we request exclusive rights to study and adapt their mirror defense system. Before Wilson could respond, a representative with 6 arms and gray skin spoke up. The Vauntary League makes a better offer. We will provide advanced propulsion technology that would save humans centuries of research. We ask only for limited access to mirror technology for defensive purposes. One by one, different factions presented their proposals. Each offered something valuable: medical technology, faster-than-light drive improvements, weapons systems, but all wanted the same thing in return: mirror technology. Supreme Commander Vasix watched silently until all others had spoken. Then he rose slowly. "The Xeldorian Empire withdraws its claim on Earth's sector," he announced. Surprised murmurs spread through the chamber. Instead, Vasix continued, "We propose a direct alliance. Unlike the others, we do not ask for your mirror technology. We offer complete integration into the Empire with full protection and access to all our scientific knowledge." Wilson felt all eyes turn to him. And what does the Empire expect in return for such generosity? Vasix's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Only that Earth's defensive capabilities be used exclusively for the benefit of the Empire in times of conflict. Rivera leaned close to Wilson. "He's trying to get control of Mirror without asking for it directly." Wilson nodded slightly. He stood and addressed the council. "Earth appreciates all offers presented today. However, we notice that every proposal focuses on our defensive technology rather than on Earth itself." He walked to the center of the chamber. "This suggests that the mirror system has greater significance than we initially understood. Before we can consider any proposal, we need to know why this technology is so valuable to all of you." The chamber fell silent. Representatives exchanged uncomfortable glances. Finally, Ambassador Laren stood. "Commander Wilson deserves the truth. The Council has withheld critical information." Moderator Kelson's crystalline form flickered with internal light. "Ambassador, the Council has not authorized." "They need to know," Laren insisted. "The humans have developed something that none of our civilizations managed to create in thousands of years of technological advancement." The moderator reluctantly nodded permission. Laren turned to the Earth delegation. 3 standard years ago, our long-range monitoring stations detected something approaching from beyond the galaxy. We call them the Void Fleet. Their technology is unlike anything we've encountered, and their intentions appear hostile." Lyran gestured, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed strange, dark ships moving through space. Their weapons can bypass all known shield technologies. Every defensive system we've developed has failed. Wilson studied the images, "And you believe our mirror technology might work against them?" "It's the first defense we've seen that adapts to and redirects energy weapons," Vasix admitted reluctantly. "Against the Void Fleet, it could be our only hope." Rivera looked at the data scrolling beside the images. "These energy signatures, they're similar to the theoretical models I used when developing Mirror." Wilson suddenly understood. Earth wasn't just a new player in galactic politics. They might be the key to saving the galaxy itself. "Why didn't you simply explain this from the beginning?" he asked. Moderator Kelson's voice was solemn. "Fear, Commander Wilson. Fear." Wilson sat with Rivera and their small Earth team in their private quarters aboard the space station. The revelation about the Void Fleet had changed everything. "They're desperate," Wilson said, pacing the room. "Every species on the Council is looking for a way to survive this threat." Rivera nodded as she reviewed the data the Council had reluctantly shared. "According to these readings, the Void Fleet will reach the outer systems within 6 months. Their ships absorb energy weapons and pass through standard shields like they don't exist." Danny Foster, the team's security chief, crossed his arms. "So everyone wants our mirror technology because it's the only thing that might work against these void ships." Exactly, Wilson replied. But there's something they're still not telling us. Rivera looked up from her data pad. I've been analyzing the technical specifications of the various defense systems used by Council species. Each civilization has incredible technological advancements in specific areas, but they seem to guard their innovations jealously from each other. Even with an existential threat approaching, Foster asked. Wilson stopped pacing. That's what doesn't make sense. Why compete when cooperation might save everyone? A soft chime indicated someone at their door. Ambassador Liran entered when invited, looking around nervously before speaking. I came to warn you, the Arcadian said quietly. The Council is divided on how to proceed. Some factions are proposing more direct methods of acquiring your technology. You mean theft or force? Wilson asked bluntly. Lyran's large eyes blinked rapidly. The Xeldorians are particularly concerned that you might ally with their rivals. Supreme Commander Vasix has suggested that since Earth is not formally recognized by the Council, its technology could be claimed as a galactic resource. Rivera stood up angrily. That's ridiculous. They attack us, then want to steal our technology because we defended ourselves successfully. Wilson placed a calming hand on her shoulder. What's really going on here, Ambassador? Why won't the Council species work together against this common threat? Lyran hesitated before answering. The truth is, many believe that only some worlds can be saved from the Void Fleet. Those with the best defenses will survive, while others. They're planning to sacrifice some worlds to save others, Wilson realized. And each species wants to ensure their home planets are among the survivors. Essentially, yes, Liran admitted. The Council was formed centuries ago during a similar crisis. Alliances were made, but betrayals followed. No one trusts anyone else to share technology equally when survival is at stake. Foster swore under his breath. So much for advanced civilizations. Wilson thought for a moment. Ambassador, what if Earth proposed a different approach? One that required cooperation. What do you mean? The mirror technology works by analyzing energy patterns and adapting to them. What if we combined it with the best defensive and propulsion systems from all Council species, create a unified defense that protects everyone? Lyran looked skeptical. The Council would never agree to share their most guarded technologies. They might, Rivera interjected, if we make it clear that mirror will only work as part of an integrated system. We could design it so that no single component would function without the others. Wilson nodded. We'd need to create a joint engineering team with representatives from each major species. Everyone contributes, everyone benefits. And if they refuse? Liran asked. Then Earth defends itself alone, Wilson said firmly. We'd rather take our chances with the Void Fleet than ally with civilizations that abandon others to save themselves. Lyran studied Wilson's face. You're serious about this? Completely. Humanity has fought its own wars, Ambassador. We've seen what happens when fear drives decisions. If advanced civilizations can't learn to work together in the face of extinction, then perhaps none of us deserve to survive. Lyran was silent for a long moment. I will bring your proposal to those I trust on the Council. But be careful, Commander. Not everyone will welcome this idea. The Grand Council chamber fell silent as Wilson finished presenting Earth's proposal. His voice had been steady as he outlined the plan for a unified defense system, combining technologies from all major species. This is unprecedented, Moderator Kelson said finally. No such cooperation has been attempted since the founding of the Council itself. Supreme Commander Vasix stood, his 4 eyes narrowed with suspicion. How do we know this plan will work? The mirror technology is untested against the Void Fleet. No defense is certain, Wilson admitted, but our calculations show that an integrated system has the highest probability of success. Working separately, we all fail. Together, we have a chance. The room erupted in arguments. Some representatives supported the human proposal while others rejected it outright. Wilson noticed that the divisions fell along predictable lines. The more powerful empires opposed sharing technology, while smaller civilizations favored cooperation. Ambassador Liran moved to the center of the chamber. I remind the Council that 3 smaller worlds have already gone silent after Void Fleet encounters. We cannot afford division any longer. A Representative Wilson hadn't met before, a being with a translucent body that glowed from within, spoke next. The humans have been in space for mere decades, yet they propose a solution that our ancient civilizations couldn't conceive. Perhaps this is why their mirror technology works. They think differently. Gradually, the mood in the chamber shifted. More representatives voiced support for Earth's plan. Even some of the major powers began to reconsider their positions. Vasix watched this change with growing alarm. When he spoke again, his voice carried a dangerous edge. The Tseldorian Empire cannot risk its survival on untested theories. We will secure our defenses by whatever means necessary. He turned to his aides and gave a command in his native language. Immediately, alarms began to sound throughout the station. "What's happening?" Wilson demanded. Ambassador Liran checked a communication device. Tseldorian warships are moving into position around the station. They're threatening to take control unless their demands are met. Moderator Kelson's crystalline form pulsed with angry light. "This violates every principle of the Council. Vasix, stand down your forces immediately." The Tseldorian commander ignored the order. "The mirror technology will be surrendered to the Empire. Earth representatives will be detained until the transfer is complete." Wilson felt the situation spiraling out of control. He glanced at Rivera, who gave him a subtle nod. Their backup plan was ready. "Supreme Commander," Wilson said calmly, "I should mention that the Defender has been transmitting everything that's happened here back to Earth. If we don't return safely, the complete mirror specifications will be broadcast to every world in the galaxy." Vasix hesitated. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Wilson smiled. "The mirror system works because it adapts and shares information. Did you really think we wouldn't apply the same principle to this situation?" Before Vasix could respond, new alarms sounded. A council member rushed in with urgent news. "Void Fleet vessels have been detected at the edge of this system. They'll reach us within hours." The chamber descended into chaos. In the confusion, Wilson caught Rivera's eye and nodded toward the exit. They needed to return to their ship immediately. As they hurried through the station corridors, Ambassador Liran caught up with them. "Commander, the moderate council factions are implementing your plan despite Tseldorian objections. Engineers from 12 species are already gathering to share their technologies. Will it be enough?" Rivera asked. "Can they integrate everything in time?" "Uncertain," Liran admitted, "but something unexpected is happening. The threat of the Void Fleet and your willingness to share your technology has inspired others. Even some Tseldorian scientists are defying Vasix to join the effort." Wilson stopped at the docking bay entrance. "Then Earth will stand with them. Have the engineering teams transfer to our vessel. The Defender can serve as the development platform for the integrated defense system." As they boarded their ship, Wilson looked back at the gathered representatives from across the galaxy. In the face of extinction, ancient rivalries were being set aside. Humanity's unexpected reaction to the Tseldorian challenge had changed everything. "Ready for departure," Green reported from her station. "Not departure," Wilson corrected. "Preparation. The real challenge is just beginning."